I'll read this later. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Tonight I'm going to tell you about my satirical self. And I'm going to tell it by way of a fable. Now, for those of you who don't know what a fable is where you make an inanimate object come to life. I suppose like Arsene Wenger in football terms, or Van Gaal. But that wasn't me speaking, that was this other person who's inside my head, this satirical self. But anyway, this is a bit more down to earth, and my fable has got two characters. And one character is a coin, which happens to be a Bahamian 10-cent piece, and the other one happens to be a bottle of whiskey. Now, the Bahamian coin, I lived in the Bahamas for 6 years, so that's identifying with me. And the bottle of whiskey is Johnny Walker, and I was born and brought up in Kilmarnock, which is where they have the Johnny Walker whiskey factory. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about that's going to bring these two characters together. So it starts once upon a time when Mr. Whiskey goes to Nassau for his holidays to try and improve on his tan. He needs some time out because he's feeling a bit under the weather. And when he was there, he met a beautiful little Bahamian coin. She was beautiful, and she had a voluminous voice when she spoke. And they both got on like a house on fire. But at the end of their holiday romance, they all went their separate ways and they never heard from each other again. But she was a bit intrepid, this coin. She eventually got a job in Kilmarnock, working for a bank. But it all started to go wrong because her boss kept shouting at her. He kept saying, "You're just not worth a cent, you're not worth a nickel, you're not worth a dime. So unless you improve your value to me, I'm going to send you back to the mint and then we'll change you for good." So you can see she's about shaken and stirred by this. So one day she's going to work and she's worrying all the time, and she fell over. And then she got up, she fell over again. And then the next time she fell over, she rolled underneath the doors of this huge big whiskey warehouse, the Johnny Walker whiskey warehouse in Kilmarnock. And she went round the concrete floor twice and then bashed into this bottle of whiskey. And the bottle of whiskey was sleeping at the time. And he woke up and he says, "Who's pulling my cork at this time in the morning?" And then he saw who it was, and they both recognised each other. So she told him her problems, and he was listening and listening. And then he said, "I'll give you some advice. What you need to do is get rid of your boss," whose name was Mr. Spectre, by the way. "Get another job, and make sure you've got a good work-life balance, because that's your problem. You've just lost your balance, and that's why you're falling over." So she went away, started to make some changes. First thing she did was change her name to Miss Moneypenny. You can see where this is going. She took up karate, and then she learned for a bit of fun to throw a bowler hat to the other side of the room to land on a hat stand, and she was very good at it. She never missed. And so she was living a fantastic life. It changed around, she was enjoying herself. And then she was going to work one day, and all the taxi drivers are peeping their horns and whistling at her, and she really looked like a new penny. And she felt like one as well. And then she looked over there and she saw this empty whiskey bottle lying at the side of the road. And she went over and says, and she recognised him. She says, "What's the problem, Mr. Whiskey Bottle?" And he said, "Well, I've just lost my spirit. I've got nothing left to give. I feel really empty. And nobody asked me to come home anymore to have a chat." So she says, "I can see what your problem is. I can see right through you." So what you need to do is just change the way you look at yourself. So what actually happened is that he applied for a job in the bonded warehouse across the road along with her. That's where she had a new job. And he got a job helping somebody called Mr. Q with his experiments. And it was a real friendly place. And the boss was even called Mother. And anybody listening to this? married and they lived happily ever after. Now, the moral of this story is, in the words of Robert Burns, or would a power would give us, a gift would give us to see ourselves as others see us. That's the moral. So that's really satirical me, and what I'm suggesting is that if you find a satirical you can actually use him to help you get through some of life's troubles and travails. And there's only one thing left for me to do. Mr. Toastmaster, can you stand up a second? Yeah. Bang, you're dead! I'm just joking. Mr. Toastmaster, thank you.